So welcome everyone. I'm very excited to have you this afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to start the meeting. We had scheduled it to start at 2 p.m. Nairobi time, and I'm very happy to see that all of us have been able to make it. I'm continuing to admit more people who are coming in, so I'll be multitasking a bit. But I'm very excited that today we have the opportunity to engage and to have a conversation with Dr. Juliet Biao Kudenupo, who's the Director and Regional Representative for UNEP in Africa. The one person I know who genuinely believes in the youth and loves engaging with the youth and totally recognizes the ability that the youth can have to steer our core business within UNEP, which is sustainable development from an environmental perspective. I would say she's your ambassador. She speaks about you everywhere, but I really wanted her to meet the people behind the force, the people who push the agenda when it comes to natural resources governance around the continent. And so I'm going to take this opportunity before she gives her opening remarks to request a quick introduction from each of you, just your name and your country, just so that she can know exactly who she has on the table today. So without further ado, I'm going to be the one to call in all of you just so that there's some bit of order. Again, because of time, just your name and your country. She just would like to know who's seated on the table today. So Aminetu, just your name and your country. You can unmute yourself, so that should not be a problem. Just unmute yourself. Okay, I'll go to Ahmed. Ahmed, go ahead.
Can you hear
Ahmed?
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, hello from Egypt.
Thank you very much. Anthony?
Everyone, Anthony Ching here from Kenya.
Awovi?
Hi everyone, Awovi from Togo.
Ephraim? I can see a gentleman called Ephraim Dosavi. Are you able to unmute? Okay, I'll jump Ephraim. I'll go to Ben Hamuda.
Ephraim Gayu from Indian Republic.
Hello everyone, I'm from Tunisia. Do you hear me?
Welcome, Joanne Tonui.
Hello everyone, I'm Joanne from Kenya.
Joshua Amposem.
Hello, I'm Joshua from Ghana. Yeah.
Welcome, Benson Fasanya.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Benson Fafanya from Nigeria. Good afternoon, everyone.
Welcome, Mark Kamga. Mark, can you hear us? Okay, I'll go to Michael Wayaki.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael from Kenya.
Sorry, Michael, we can't hear you, but we can see you. We can't hear you. Maybe if you can be near your microphone.
I am Michael from Kenya.
Thank you. Natanya?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Natanya Bueta, and I'm from South Africa.
Welcome, Natanya. Tajiel?
Hello, everyone. I'm Tajiel from Tanzania.
Sorry, Tajiel, we didn't hear you very well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tajiel Urio from Tanzania.
Welcome, Tajel. Victor?
Hello, everyone. Absolutely great to be here. My name is Victor from Kenya.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm very excited to have you. This is a meeting that has been, to some extent, really highly requested by our director and regional representative for Africa here in UNEP. She really wanted to have a real conversation, a candid conversation. This is not going to be a meeting where you will hear a lot from us. We will be hearing a lot from you. One of the things that we hope is that it's going to be a very engaging, interactive session. Thank you so much for your time and even your ability to be part of this meeting. I'm now going to call in Dr. Juliet Biao so that she can welcome us to this conversation. Dr. Juliet.
Thank you so much, Damaris. I think this meeting is your meeting, it's not my meeting. Dear friends and colleagues, I really want to thank you sincerely.
Sorry, Dr. Juliet, could I ask you to kindly put your video on because the people want to see you?
My video is on, Damaris.
No, okay. Is it my side? Apologies, maybe it's my end. Oh, now you're back.
My video is on. Okay. I really want to thank you sincerely and deeply for heeding our call to join me and my colleagues from UNEP Africa office today to share in these extraordinary times how Africa's youth can spearhead turning back the tide that has devastated African continent in terms of biodiversity loss, in terms of pollution, all forms of pollution, in terms of climate change. And that has been really depicted sharply by the COVID-19. You will agree with me that we cannot be sitting in a continent where over 60% of people are young people and do nothing. I think Damaris can really share with you, whenever we start talking about youth and we start looking at, oh, consultants, we need to know what youth want. I always say to her, no need, because the youth knows very well what they want. Beyond really emotional speeches, I think it is time for us to walk the talk. I really want to hear from you. We don't want to make a decision on your behalf. We want to hear from you what you want. I don't want to hear about emotions. I want to hear from you what you want really to really be at the driver's seat on this continent to turn the tide. This is what I want. At the end of this meeting, I really want to hear from you. The what? What do you think is doable in an immediate, mid-term, and long-term? How do we do that? How do we share roles and responsibility? I will be really happy to hear about a task team right after this meeting. I would like to hear about thematic sub-regional leaders who can really lead us, because we want to be led. We are not going to lead you. It is time to walk the talk. You know, when I attend conferences and I say representative of youth and I listen to speeches, it's just emotional. So what? After that, what happens? This is your chance to hold us accountable. This is your chance really to seek support. Being ambitious, but realistic. And we are really fortunate to be now working in the context of the UN reforms, where individual agency cannot really pretend to be doing everything. As soon as you tell us what you want, How you will do that? We will have to rally our sister agency, UN agency. We will have to rally other strategic partners and say, this is what the youth want concretely. Me, as a regional director for Africa, if I cannot really support you in a very concrete manner, then I'm not relevant at this regional office. I mean, over 60% of population in Africa are youth. So help me to be relevant in my position. And you have Damaris, who really is in charge of this portfolio, and she's very, very, very excited. We really need to see concrete things. And my colleagues in the regional office for Africa are there to support. They stand ready to support. We have 7 thematic areas we're working on: ecosystem, climate change, resource efficiency, sustainable consumption and production, chemicals and waste, energy, disasters and conflict, environment. You have your say in the matter through all these 7 thematic, and even others that you think that we are not covering. Today we're talking about digital transformation, technology, innovations. What concretely do you want to do? And I know all of you are doing very good things. It's just that we are not sharing it. One is to share what each and every one is doing. Second, the scalability. How do we scale up? If we don't scale up, we cannot really create impact. So, you know, I don't like speeches. This is really from the bottom of my heart what I have to tell you. I want from this meeting to move concretely, to move to concrete actions. I know some of our colleagues, some of you attending the meeting, the climate change action. We need to report back to the UN Secretary General what you have done. We need to contribute to that. We need to support you. So I will certainly share with you my bio later on so that you know who I am. I don't want to really in the interest of time to really talk about it, but Damaris will share with you, and another time I will personally share with you. I will share with you my personal experience, and you will understand why I have really an interest in supporting the youth, because of my own personal experience. So I have also my colleagues here on the call. They will at some point provide the insight, but we want more to hear from you. We want to be more in a listen mode, and at the end to tell you really to commit to what is really realistic. So before giving you the floor, I think I will make justice if I give the floor to Damaris. It is your meeting, Damaris. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Juliet. And definitely, I'm sure the ones who have been able to listen to you have clearly heard, you know, the passion that you have and also how you see us taking it to the next level. The particular group of people who are on the table today are a group of young people who have been doing a lot in the continent. As you've rightly put it, they have been involved in the area of natural resources governance in one way or another. If it's not climate smart agriculture, if it is not reforestation, if it is not engaging in advocacy, they have been highly engaged. And so they're highly chosen within the continent to be part of those who engage with you and actually interact with you. And so, as I mentioned to you, the youth in the continent, this is going to be a meeting where the regional director and I are going to be listening to you, and also with my colleagues who are seated in the call today, listening to a very engaging process. And so I'm going to just, give you a nutshell of some of the things that we really would like to hear from you. And I'll just start by saying that, as you're already aware, thousands of you across the continent are already doing amazing work on, for example, restoring nature-based resources And this ranges from reforestation to wetland restoration to biodiversity conservation. But then we know that you have been doing it at a level that we would say is sometimes pilot, sometimes micro, sometimes small. And would like to know how then we can take it to the next level, recognizing that you're already doing so much. And so even as we have this conversation, I would like, as you take the floor, you tell us, this is what I have been doing. Please tell us for how long you have been doing it. Please tell us the gaps you have been filling and how you think us as the UN and other organizations, because we'll have to culminate together with other, as Dr. Juliet has just said, we'll need to bring in other sister agencies because we've realized we can't do it just as us. Because again, our mandate focuses on a certain area of our work. So we look forward to particularly listening to on what you've been doing. Please tell us for how long you have been doing it, and then tell us what support you need. And then definitely we are here as UNEP, we'll listen, and then we see how particularly we can replicate what is being done, and then how we can actually transform the environmental volunteerism that is already existing to move to the next level, which is creating livelihoods and even careers, rather than just considering these things as, we would say, temporary stepping stones to something bigger. How can we create momentum? How can we ensure that what you're doing progresses? I just mentioned about the landscape restoration agenda, which is for the next 10 years. Do you see yourself as one of those who can actually push the agenda for the next 10 years? If yes, how? What support do you need? If no, why? We need to really candidly get to understand exactly, particularly for you who have been on the ground, what you think about it. And so I'm just going to open the floor. And I think I'm going to start.
Damaris, before you open the floor, let me give the floor to Samba, because we're talking about African continent. And our colleague Samba is the head of our liaison office in Addis Ababa, who work with the African Union. You know, whatever we do here, we need really to connect it with the regional perspective and also the global perspective. So over to you, Samba, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Director, and thank you very much, Juliet and colleagues from all over Africa. I'm sorry to come in late because we were launching the Africa Migration Report, to which UNEP has contributed with African Union and IOM. That's why I came a little bit late. I hope I get your apologies, Director. So I think it is very timely, and I'm very happy to see that the African Union representative, special envoy, is represented in the participants. And it is a very timely approach, and we are starting this UN decade for restoration. And if we restore, if we do these activities, is the future generation, future leaders that you as youth, you are. So we can't embark important process without you use and getting the kind of networks, as Juliet was saying rightly, what is it that you're doing, what is our response, and what we can do together. And one thing that I would really want to hear from you as youth, because you are working at the community level, at the grassroots level, and as we think about nature-based solutions, I would really want to hear from those of you who work with indigenous groups and indigenous knowledge in terms of addressing the environmental challenges. I think without further ado, because we are in the listening mode, I will leave it there and then give the floor back to Damaris, and we look really forward to a very interactive session with all of you. And thank you very much, Juliet, and over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samba, and thank you, Juliet, for reminding me to have Samba speak as our liaison in the Africa Union. And as you said, and as you rightly put it, we do have a representative of the AU, Africa Union Youth Envoy, in our call today. Her name is Aminetou. She's from Mauritania. She's been having a problem speaking to us, but I know she's there, and I've been seeing her chatting on the chat. So she's highly, we can recognize you, Aminetou. Welcome. And so I'm going to start this conversation, and what I'm going to do, because I know you people have already been on the ground, you know what we are doing, we know what we are seeking, and we've already heard what the vision of the director is today. I'm going to call upon maybe just by calling out. And also I'm also going to ask you to, just raise your hand so that it's easy for me to know who would like to speak first. But before we even have that, I know we can have Michael Wayaki already speaking. He's from Kenya and I know what he's been doing, and that could raise some momentum. But then please, the youth of the continent, please raise your hands. I just ambushed Michael, sorry about that. But then the rest of you, please raise your hand so that I can call you and we get to converse. Thank you very much. Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Damaris. I hope you can hear me. Good to see everyone, and I'll just jump right into it for the sake of time. So I'm Michael, and I'm the founder of MITI Alliance, and we founded in 2018. And I have been doing this as a youth since now this is my 10th year, but officially registered the organization in 2018. In 2018, we were able to go to 7 schools and we did 5,500 trees. In 2019, we did 8,500 trees. In 2020, we've done 7,800 trees. And key to this has been, number one, where do you source the trees? And the trees before that, as a youth, where do you get money? An asset. Where do you get money to buy the shade nets? Where do you get seeds? You go to KEFRI headquarters and they will, this is our headquarters where we get our seeds, and they will sell to you the seeds. They won't give them to you. So I am imagining a youth like me then, 7 years ago, all we relied on was handouts. So we would go to Rotary. I was a president of a Rotaract club. So we would go to our mother club and borrow money. Later on, I realized we have to set up the systems. So we decided to set up a training center and a nursery. And why were we doing this? For 7 years, we did so many events, very funky events. And what happens is that people end up planting in these events, taking the selfies, and in a matter of minutes, they've forgotten that these trees need follow-up. So corporates that we have reached out to don't want to support follow-up. They don't want us asking for money while we're in the boardrooms, because in a simple way, the budget is for the t-shirts, the lunches, and for the movable toilets, and for all the funky banners that will be brought in the event. Now, think about it, 6 months later, we go for the follow-up because we were not doing it just for the event. And then we find that the trees have died. Some have not been watered. And I look at the kind of resources that I really needed while setting up a nursery. I imagine a youth somewhere, let's say in Marsabit or in Makueni County here in Kenya, who needs just some seeds, a shade net, and papers or even plastic bottles where they can put in the seeds. It has been such a great challenge for us. And I have had to divide all my incomes into half to say that I will look for a job on the side to fund my passion. And you can imagine how stretching that is. I'm now a father. So my wife will ask, where is the money for the food, for school fees, for this? Yet you're funding a passion. So now with the lessons that I've been learning, one thing that I must say in this meeting is that education is what we've really discovered is missing in this equation. For youth, for young, for old, for communities. And our programs are 3. We have a MITI Schools program where we focus going into schools and planting 100 trees in every school we go to. The second one is Adopt a Forest program where we partner with a corporate or individuals or our friends, and we fundraise and go and plant in a forest. The third one is the MITI Kitchen Gardens. That's where we raise our incomes by setting up kitchen gardens for others, introducing agroforestry, permaculture, and systems of regenerative agriculture. And when I think about, I want to go to Makueni. We tried just the other day to go to Machakos. We have just returned ourselves back to where we were. Because number one, where do you get the fuel from? And then follow up. How many times will you afford to go to Machakos in that traffic of Mlolongo? Or try to follow up where you're asking a teacher who is now no longer in the school to follow up tree seedlings that are in the school. There is no system. There is no sustainability. And then now come in COVID. We've had to adapt in so many ways. Now, when I think about it for Africa and I think about it for our region, and I think about the youth and the kind of knowledge they need, first there needs to be capacity building, training centers in every one of our counties where youths are going to get knowledge on how to set up nurseries, how to grow their own food, how to empower themselves. And in those centers, we are using technology. We are using new forms of regenerative agriculture where they will learn in those centers. And just to put it closer home is, we had a big boom of entrepreneurship. Why can't we have a big boom of entrepreneurship, environmental conservation, and also in sustainability of the whole continent? So
please come again. Please come again, Michael, come again on that one.
So I'm saying that, could there be centers of excellence or hubs across every county or every constituency in this country, in Kenya, in other countries across Africa, where youth, women, or whomever in the community can go and get resources to learn about the indigenous trees that grow in that area, knowledge about the wetlands in the area, forests that need conservation, you know, how to set up a nursery, how to grow their own food, such kind of things where they will be well equipped. And out of that, now that's where now we stem out the knowledge. Schools will go to that center to learn. These children will be the future environmentalists. And that gap of the missing education link on indigenous knowledge, I was showing someone just this week. My tooth was aching and I did a video on this. It's a Wabugia ugandensis. And I was scrubbing with it on my tooth. And I couldn't believe the number of likes and comments we got just from them asking that this tree can cure toothache or bleeding gums. We as Africa have so much knowledge, but where is it all being put to? And these centers across every other county need to be set up. If anything, we set up TVETs and all kind of centers. Can we start now for environmental activities across the country? And they will be in charge in every of those counties to do the tree plantings, to grow the tree seedlings, to even impact the community, the chief's office, all these systems that are already there. And then how do we use new forms of technology? We are on Instagram, we're on Snapchat, we are on all these things, and we share that information. So we create an awareness, virtual reality, drones, things that we are interested in. I don't want to take so much time, but in a nutshell, that's the gap. That's what we've been doing. And at this point, our aim is to plant 1 million trees in the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. I don't know if Damaris intentionally really gave you the floor because she knows I'm a forest manager. All you said resonates so well to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That is part of reskilling and retooling ourselves, I guess, just so that we are able to be in the global community. I'm now going to call Benson Fasanya from Nigeria.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Afternoon. Good afternoon.
Okay, great. I'm so delighted. I'm excited to be listening to this wonderful dialogue. It has been really enriching, and I've learned a lot. Without further ado, I would like to actually thank all my colleagues. They have mentioned most of my points. So I will just go straight. I will just introduce myself first. I'm Benson Fasanya from Nigeria. I actually run a Center for Earthworks. It's a youth-led organization, and we are passionate about securing the earth. My story is kind of really very similar with Michael. It's actually, we are self-funded organization, and we have been running for some years now. We started in 2015, got legally registered in 2017, and then of course we have been here. I would like to just give a classical example why one of the points that you raised earlier is crucial, as in the synergies among the United Nations organization. Somehow, if this synergy is not achieved, most of the cross-cutting issues cannot actually be achieved. For example, we are talking about land restoration. Okay, how are we bringing UNCCCD to the table to actually achieve this? UNCCCD is actually United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. Doctor, I believe you can communicate with the current Secretary General, who is Ibrahim Tao. I guess he's also from Benin. If I'm not really sure, but I guess so. So actually, there is a need for a strong synergy. Okay, there is also a need to actually continually raise and identify young organizations who actually. Let me share a small story about Center for Earthworks. We identified a niche in the issue of land restoration and then desertification. So we started a program called the Youth for Land. This actually, we do offline engagement with communities, and then we do the online engagement with young people and older professionals. In fact, some of my colleagues have been featured on the platforms, and it has really been interesting and engaging. Okay, so what happened was this. Some years back, somewhere in 2017, we started this campaign, and the idea was simple. There's a huge gap in the issue of land degradation and desertification. So we started this program. So when the opportunity came to actually kind of bring youth voices, because we were trying to actually raise youth voices in the UNCCD, my team members applied for actually the opportunity to actually go and actually present what we have been doing in India, and none of them were kind of selected. In fact, most of them were broken, and some of them actually left Center for Earthworks. Why? Because they feel, okay, this is actually their idea. And to make matters worse, that same idea, Youth for Land, was carried and then placed on the platform. You see how painful it can be? So, and this is because of maybe lack of synergy. Okay, another point I would like to raise is this. Since we talk about the short term, the long term, and then the medium term, in the next year, that's in short term, I would like to see, number one, the access to strategic information by youth organizations. I mean access to strategic information by youth organizations. There is also a strong need for research. The UNEP Africa office should constantly carry on research to actually identify key thematic areas to engage youth. Another key things we should actually identify is this. We need to also engage in the professional development. Someone has already mentioned that. But there is also a need to activate all other sectors in the African office. What do I mean? Doctor, you mentioned that there are about 8 to 7 other departments which talk about sustainable consumption, chemical waste. Who are these people, and how can we actually engage with them? With my background, actually, I studied chemistry, and I've been pushing the chemical issue. So when we talk about waste, most of the issues we actually project is actually the issue of chemicals and toxics. We have also been engaged in research in Center for Earthworks. We do some few months back before the pandemic and the lockdown, we did a research on toxics in microplastics. Okay, there is a need to actually activate all these other departments in the African office. Then in the that's in the short term. Okay, we have mentioned the short term, right? The midterm, that's 3 years from now. I would like to see a platform actually created where we all African organizations can actually be fully engaged. Also in the midterm, I would like to see UN office actually identifying all these organizations and then merging them for mentorship and connecting them with the needed organizations. Then in the long term, what I actually propose forward, there's a need to actually sustain the platform created in the midterm, and then the need to actually constantly share the success stories, and then scaling the ideas that have been tested. And then there's a need to actually look at organization. How can we raise funding to actually finance, sustainable funding to actually finance most of the youth organization and then youth ideas. But above all, there is a need to actually move from just the common tree planting, the common other community engagement to create sustainable solutions. Okay, if the West are actually creating stuff, why can't we do that? If the center of civilization is actually Africa, then of course we can innovate. How can funds be generated so that Africans can actually create biodegradable plastics? How can we actually be at the forefront of innovation? So those are some of the long-term plans that I want the UNEP African office to actually begin to integrate. But this is possible if in the midterm we begin to think about, okay, how do we create a youth fund, then in the long term, create a youth fund that can actually finance all these stuff. And then, of course, research is very, 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 very. So thank you very much. I know a lot of people have a lot to say. I wish that Maris, you actually gave everyone 2 to 3 minutes to actually say something. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benson. I know you are highly engaged in different processes, and I know you were in the last meeting that my colleague Barry Abdurrahman did on chemicals and waste, and I think you highly were engaged in that process. So thank you very much. I'm now going to invite one more person to speak, and then because we were finishing at 4 o'clock, I respect your time and your enthusiasm. I just want to have one more person speak, and then Juliet, our director, will be able to close it up very well for us. And definitely, this is not the last time you're hearing from us. So Victor, and then Dr. Juliet Biao, just to close us.
Thank you so much, Damaris, and thank you so much, Mom, for bringing us together here. It's absolutely great to hear all the great ideas that these young people have. It's quite inspiring, even listening and hearing what they're already doing on the ground. So for me, I am really passionate about youth engagement in agriculture, and not just agriculture, climate smart agriculture. And for us, we were thinking about models in which we can meaningfully attract, engage, and retain young people in agriculture. Not just attract and engage, but also retain these young people in agriculture. And 2 things really stood out for us. And one of them was to make agriculture really profitable. And the other thing was to make agriculture sustainable. And so we saw climate smart agriculture as a pathway for which we could be able to get to these 2 ends, that young people really can have the resilience, even in the face of climate shocks, that they can be able to grow even in times of no rain, even with climate change that is part and parcel of us, that they can continue to thrive. But as well, that element also makes agriculture profitable, because if you are able to grow even in times when others do not, then it makes you and makes your farm really profitable. And so for me, and as an organization, the Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network, we are really working on helping young people transition into climate smart agriculture. And so we noticed that climate smart agriculture has most people really do not know what it is. And so there's a general lack of awareness about this. And so what we did was to look at a demographic, especially students who are taking agricultural courses. So these are young people who are primed up to take the agricultural profession, either as farmers or as agripreneurs. And so we thought these were good people really to look at, so that we can be able to skill them and to change their negative perceptions, and to even provide them with their professional skills that they require even to transition into a career. And so this year we had the Climate Smart Agriculture Campus Forum that really looked at changing the perception of young people about agriculture. And so with this, we took young people who are already in the agricultural space, who are doing amazing, great stuff, so that these students could be able to relate with people who really have been in the agricultural space. And these young agripreneurs could also tell their stories about how their journey has been, the challenges that are there, because there really are challenges, but also the incredible success that they've been able to achieve even while being on this. And so we really did this and changing the perception, especially because we noticed that even for students who are taking agricultural courses, in that university, a quarter of them really did not want to be there. And so they were there just because the system had really pushed them into that. And then we noticed that there was also lack of technical skills, that the curriculum is really theoretic, and so they do not have the practical skills for them to really take it out there. And so it heartens me to see that students who have taken agricultural courses do not have jobs, because agriculture really is a profession in itself. And so we looked at imparting these technical skills through professionals. And the other thing that we noticed, that they do not have the skills to transition into the job market, for those who would prefer to be in the job market rather than be on the farm. And so we had human resource personnel from different to come and speak to them about what they look for when they're hiring students. And so these young people really had an all-round view. We really appreciate UNEP, and Damaris was really part and parcel of the process in making that a success. And we really enjoyed having a good time with the students on that day. Then the other thing that we've noticed is that climate smart agriculture is practical. So we can't really be speaking about it every single day. And so one of the things that we've done is to create climate smart excellence centers, where these are young farms. These are farms that are run by young people. And so these young people really have been skilled on climate smart agriculture, and have been even given some of the tools to make their farms even more climate smart. And then we use these as touch points where other people can come and learn from them. And so these climate smart excellence centers are practical on-farm demonstrations of climate smart agriculture really in practice. And because they are run by young people, then we've seen other young people really want to know how things are done, and really are able to learn by seeing this. So by and large, that's what I work on. And I am really happy to be on this conversation, really, because one of the things that you and UNEP is showing is that young people can really be creators of solutions, that it's not only a top-down approach, that young people really, when brought into the conversation, really can really give ideas and things that really can push us forward. So young people are not just in the periphery, that they are part and parcel of the process. This is really important, because sometimes young people feel disillusioned by the system, and they feel like they are a side dish and not a main dish. And conversation really it helps us and helps young people really to know that what they are doing is first meaningful and that they are on the right track, that they, with a little motivation and given the support, that they can do even more. And so with this, I will really suggest that this is not the last time that we're having this discussion. And I have seen, especially with Generation Unlimited and UNDP, that there's a youth advisory board. If we are able to take this to the next stage, that we can institutionalize such a conversation, that there are young people who you can be able to use as a sounding board so that they can be able to keep you updated on the trends that are happening in the youth space. They can know what's changing, but also how young people really can be more engaged and meaningfully engaged in the process. So that will really be very good. So institutionalizing this discussion through a youth advisory board will really help to take this to the next stage. Then the other thing is, and from the discussion I picked up that most of the youth engagements and organizations and what they are doing really suffer first from sustainability, and this comes sometimes because they are working on passion, and sometimes, and as clearly said here, sometimes passion does not pay bills, and sometimes passion is not sustainable. And so the other thing I noticed is that there's no skill, that there are so many small centers of brilliance and islands of good things that are happening, and they are not moving to the next stage. And so I think this should be a discussion where we are looking at ways in which we can be able to offer guidance, we can offer mentorship, we can capacity build these young initiatives so that they can go to the next level. And with this, I would hope that they could be like an environment that they require. So in terms of guidance, in terms of mentorship, and in that regard. And after that, the UN system is really a good convener. And I think that's I think one of the greatest assets that UNEP really has is that it can convene partners from everywhere. AFDB, as Dr. has mentioned, and other organizations. And so by convening all this, then they can be able to provide even more than just the soft skills and the soft technical aspects that they have, but also they can take this also to provide financial support. So I think, in my own estimation, that these two things are a good place to start: a youth advisory board and an environmental accelerator. And with this, then we can build up to create even more greater success. Again, I'm really thankful for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Victor. Just to understand, the Youth Advisory Board and environmental accelerators, is it the same thing or different?
No, I think they are like two separate things. So for the Youth Advisory Board, these are just young people who are doing incredible things in the in the environment, in the climate change space, who once, for example, there's a project that is coming through UNEP, that they can look at ways in which to more meaningfully engage the youth. And I could give an example, a discussion such as this. We could even call this the Youth Advisory Board, where in case of something that needs to happen, then there can be a meaningful discussion with a group of young people who can be able to really be used as a sounding board for discussions and decisions that UNEP really wants to make. So this is more of a discussion body of sorts. But for the environmental accelerator, these are initiatives that young people are leading, youth-led organizations that are doing incredible stuff. And so we could use this as pilots to show other young people really that we can be able to take our initiatives even to scale. So with the retooling, capacity building, mentorship, and partnerships and funding, then these organizations can really go to the next level. And the aim also is that these organizations, youth-led organizations, can pick up other organizations that are in their area of influence, and they can start working even together. So it's more of retooling and upskilling organizations, and then they can be able to pick up other organizations so that they can be able to work together in the same space.
Good.
Thank you very much. I know Aminetu was not able to speak. Again, she had a really challenge with internet, but she was able to say that she would like to see environmental volunteerism move to real business opportunities, where we need to support the youth initiatives with a significant amount of funding to help them strive and sustain their projects. So that's from Aminetu, and Aminetu is the current advisor. She's currently a member of the Africa Union Youth Advisory Council, and she's working with the Africa Union Envoy, and as well as advising the AU chairperson on youth issues via the Office of the Envoy. Currently, she's also the Mauritanian technical advisor in charge of communication in the Ministry for Social Affairs, Children, and Family. Thank you very much, Aminetu. We are sorry about that, not being able to talk to us. Keletso from South Africa, I see you. I know you were nominated by one who wrote to us from South Africa, and they had the same example as what Victor has just talked about. They were very keen on how particularly AMCEN can have a youth advisory board. They were very keen on that. So I think, Victor, to some extent, you're in the spirit. I don't know whether Keletso, you're still there. I don't know whether you'd like to say one small thing, then I'll ask Samba to say something, and then Juliet, because of, I would like us at least to finish by 4:15 if we can. Keletso, are you there? Keletso from South Africa? I don't know whether he has left, but he mentioned that he would have wanted to speak. Samba?
Yes, thank you very much, Damaris, and thank you very much to all the intervening the actors and this youth group. I'm really impressed by some of the brilliant ideas that came out of the discussions. I'm not going to do a summary because I want to be in trouble with my boss, who will be doing the wrap-up and will do it properly. Just a few notes that came out of the discussion, for which to me would be really good starting points. I mean, one is the establishment of the knowledge and experience sharing platform, which to me is very important. And it's especially hearing the last speaker who talked about the islands of good practices. I think we can move from the islands to an ocean of knowledge, transform these islands of good practices into an ocean of knowledge about your best practices. I heard about the communications and to avoid the duplications of efforts. And then it's very important to improve the knowledge, the communication between the different experiences. How this discussion could be institutionalized. I think this is something that is very important, that we need to get together and see maybe in the coming weeks or months to see how we can institutionalize this kind of discussions between and exchanging between the Africa Office and African youth. A point that is very important that may discourage some youth to engage into environmental matters is to how environmental management could lead to the economic development. These challenges, I want to engage in my volunteerism, but at the same time, I'm a father. I need to pay for the education fees of my kids. I need to pay for the food of my family. How we can, indeed, environmental resources can and are the basis of the economic development. So how we can, from the young ages, from the very beginning with the starters, how we can support them. And I think the issue of capacity building and partnership fostering is something also that would really help us on the way forward. And let me stop here and over to you, Damaris and Juliet.
Thank you very much. Juliet, just before you take the floor, because I know once you take it, no one else can take it, I would like to have Juliet Grace, who's part of the major groups and youth in UNEP to speak, because she had raised her hand. Sorry, I forgot her. Juliet Grace, as part of the major groups from the youth in the UNEP constituency.
Thank you very much, Damaris. Thank you very much, Juliet, my namesake, for the opportunity that you've given us to speak to us as young people this afternoon. For me, basically, I just want to commend Damaris for the work that she's doing, because I remember when I met her in 2017, when she had just taken office, there's a lot of work that has been done. Within the Africa Youth Office, we see that there is now engagement that's very active. Such meetings are happening. I remember young people were selected to attend the Sustainable Blue Economy Conference, and their voices were added onto that conversation. And now we have this consultation, and then the Gear for Youth publication as well, which I'm also an author to. I also met some other guys here who are also co-authors. That really goes a long way to show that the African office is now more interested in hearing the voices of young people and having them engage. Maybe my one key takeaway is on when we are talking about youth engagement within the UN agencies. We are not looking at money per se, but then we just want to put our passions at work. Maybe my only advice would be, one of the things, even when you're saying, okay, apply for UN volunteers, the criteria that needs to be followed is very stringent and very limiting to many people. You find that they need you all to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, but then let's be realistic. Here in Africa, one of the challenges that we are having and facing is one of education. Not so many young people have been able to attain education to the highest standards, go to the university. Most of us are high school graduates and all, but then we are passionate about the work that we are doing and we are smart. So I feel like that needs to be revised. How do we give opportunities to young people because of, first of all, their passion, their experience in the areas they are working on, and not that academic qualification very much.
Thank you very much, Grace Juliet. I know the first time I met you, you came for the United Nations Environment Assembly, and you're very passionate about youth engagement and exactly what you're doing in Uganda. I know Juliet, your namesake, has not met you, but I'm sure she has heard of you in one way or another. So I'm just going to give the floor to Dr. Biao just so that she can close and just give us the way forward.
I don't even know where to start because I'm so excited. And as a politician, you know, I was Minister of the Environment 13 years ago. And as a politician, we like to make announcement, right? The first announcement I like to make is that I'm going to hire a national volunteer for Damaris to really work on the outcomes of what we have discussed today. You are free to apply, yeah? It's a national volunteer. You are free to apply. This is a person who really will work together with the Youth Advisory Board, really to see how we can take what we have discussed here at the next level. It will be first 1 year. We'll see how it will unfold. If we need to renew and we have resources, we'll do that. You are free to apply. It is only one place, don't forget. Whether you are selected or not, just know that you will be represented by this person. This is number one. Secondly, we need to get to know each other. Yeah, we need to have and Damaris will help us on that, so to have your email, your contact, your name, what you're doing, just briefly. And we need to start also following each other on the social media, because I need to know what you do and you know to share it with others. Please, when sharing your contact, share your Twitter account. We need also to be on a professional, platform, LinkedIn. This is a good start for all of us. I'm happy to share with you my bio so that you know more about me. I'll do that through Damaris. This is number one. I'll start with what UNEP can do as individual agency, and also share what other agency can, how we can rally other agencies. Number one, as a follow-up of our GO6, GO6 is, a publication that was done by you, for you, that really provide an overview of what are the challenges and what are the opportunities in Africa from your perspective. Now, we need to take a step further. You need now to tell us what are the best practices, what you do, to address those challenges, and in which way you seize those opportunities to show to people that young people in Africa are really doing something. And if in the structure, we can really reach the step where we even systematize, as Michael said. Michael can say today, to have a plant grow, what does this take? And even cost it, so that anyone who wants to replicate can say, this is what it costs you. We need this kind of publication in the 2 languages. Damaris, we need to know about the innovation. We need to know about the best practices. That Africa Office, UNEP can do that. And that will be under the leadership of Damaris. Networking. Networking, I think we all know that we need to promote networking. We will institutionalize the Youth Advisory Board and the environmental accelerators, and they will now see how they can help us on the networking. We can start with our UNVs that we have currently, to start laying out, the template to get us together, to get to know each other. So networking is very important. The second thing is capacity building. Capacity building starts, we'll start first with our sub-program coordinators, with thematic meetings on each of the thematic areas: waste management, resource efficiency, sustainable consumption and production. All these 7 thematic areas, you need to know about them. Thematic meetings, but also fact sheet that we will share with you, something that you will have with you. When we talk about managing waste, what is it? You need to know a simple fact sheet that will be shared with you. We will share with you also the outlook on waste management in Africa. We will share with you the atlas on energy in Africa. All those relevant when our colleague will really talk to you about energy. At the end, they should be sharing all these documents with you. And it is not only about the thematic areas. We have also political processes. How many of you know about the African Ministerial Conference? Someone will talk to you about it. How many of you know about the United Nations Environment Assembly, which is the highest decision-making body on environment? How many of you know about the processes that are going on at African Union Commission? How many of you know about the high-level political forum where the member states really assess the effectiveness and efficiency of the UN system. You need to know that. You need to know about ECOSOC, where the whole world, all the member states really decide on what really, how to impact the socio-economic dimension in the countries. Those thematic area, we can do that, we can organize. And let me tell you that this is something that has been already initiated by our UNVs in Africa office. So we connect you, and all this thematic meeting will be done together with our UNVs, our interns, and young consultants. They call it, the platform they have set is Young Grower. You have to know about it because there is no different young people. We are all the same. So we'll connect you, we'll have this thematic meeting. On professional development, let me tell you that we do that. On geothermal, we have managed, I think Damaris will know better than I, about how many scholarship we have really, we did manage to get for young entrepreneur on energy. This is also some areas that we will look at, but to have more people really seizing this kind of opportunity, I will talk now. I'm going to what we can do with other UN agency. My colleague, in fact, he used to be my colleague. Now she is at a higher level, Assistant Director General at UNESCO. She has a portfolio on African young African men and women on science. UNESCO is trying now to nurture and to promote African young men and women on science. This is where we can also see some opportunities for professional development. And that I'm not really committing as UNEP. I'm committing to see how we can really collaborate with UNESCO on that. There is something we have not talked about today, but we need to talk about it later on, is governance and participation to decision making. Young people need to have their voice heard. So you'll tell me later on how we do that. But this is something I would like really to highlight. We talk about, so on capacity building, also we have mentorship. I talk about the thematic area. When you discuss with each program coordinators and colleagues who will talk to you about the political processes, you will discuss with them how you think that you can be mentored. They will guide you and they will commit. I don't want to commit here. But about the professional development, I also want to commit to two things. We'll find out someone who will train the trainers. We cannot train everybody. Who will be involved in this? We will have a term of engagement. You are involved in this training. You commit to train X number of persons after you receive the training. And one session of training will be on, developing proper CV and also proper cover letter, and maybe also entrepreneurship, something like that. The second session of training will be on fundraising and partnership. So that we will further discuss the modalities also. That's one you never commit on that. Building on our convening capacity, there's something we can commit to is how we then organize the tripartite dialogue on one hand between private sector and the national government, on the other hand between the county, the local government at the county level and the private sector, to see how really they can take on board the youth agenda. We can do that together with other UN agencies. You just need to guide us, and for that, you need to share with us a mapping of multinationals across Africa, so that we can start looking at how we organize this kind of meetings. The center. Education was something that was really highlighted from the very beginning of this dialogue, and it is very important. The Center for Environmental for Education, I will have a discussion with our agency and the African Development Bank. If we can succeed in having at least one across Africa, if two, that's great, but we will start with one. I'll share with you the feedback I get from colleagues. And it takes also to have the host country to really commit, maybe for the premises and UN agencies, because no donor will come and say we are giving money for for the center, for building the center. Or, if we can have the premises somewhere, then what we can bring in will be what the UN agencies can do. But it is a great idea. I'll discuss with the African Development Bank first, and then discuss with the sister agency. So I don't know if I capture well what you said, but the rest, behavioral change, soft skill, sharing of best practices. Once we have an idea about the center, all will come together. How we promote the SDG school, all you have shared today, pollution, how waste management, everything will come together. We'll have to sit down again and see how we can how this can be shaped up. So tell me, have I covered? I do not pretend to be able really to summarize. It was so rich, but as a start, I think it's a very good start. And what we commit to, we will do that. You can count on us. Thank you so much. So Damaris will share my bio with all of you after the meeting, and then I'll look forward to hearing from you about your contact. I want to follow you on Twitter. I'm not so good at Facebook. Don't expect me to be on Facebook, but LinkedIn and Twitter, you will find me there. So because on Facebook, I can see young people always share, when they have new dresses, on Facebook, when they have new car. I'm not in that. So now I really want to thank you. I know there are many young people who would like to be here today. There are so many colleagues of UN agencies, regional director, who would have loved to be here today, but they have other commitment. But I can assure you, they stand ready to take it up. Whatever can come from this meeting, and it is in the area of intervention, you trust me, it will be done. So let me thank you again. And the journey has just started. Thank you so much. You are muted. You are muted. You are muted.
I always do that. Oh gosh, sorry about that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Yao. I know when I started, I mentioned that you are passionate about the youth in the continent, and maybe the youth here thought I was just blowing your trumpet. I hope they have heard from you. I hope they have felt that you hold them and you really are keen to work and to ensure that they are able to achieve their objectives, particularly because as you can see, they've been here for 2.5 hours.
Sorry, Damaris, you remind me something that I wanted to share here. Why I'm passionate about youth, because it's of my personal experience. When I started, when I was first appointed after my studies in 1989. No one wanted even to give me an opportunity to volunteer. They will always say, no, you need to have at least 2 years of experience. But how can I have the experience if no one wants to give me the experience? I was lucky to come across the chief of the German Development Cooperation at the time where they wanted to promote women. And as the first female forester in West Africa, he was so excited and said he was the first to give me the opportunity. The day he called me to sign the contract, you know what I said? No, I don't want money. I just want to volunteer. He said, how? No, we give you. To tell you, at the point, when we are not given the opportunity really at least to volunteer, how it can really be, what I would say, frustrating. And I went through all this for 2-3 years before I got my first job. But I cannot even describe to you what I went through before I got this first job. When I became a Minister of Environment, I remember what I suffered. I opened my door for young people coming from university. I think about at least 20 of them today are civil servants. And it was a fight because, the system did not want them. Even in my office, they will say, no, what the young people, they don't know anything. They don't know, they don't have experience. How will they get the experience? If you go to Africa office today, in the last 5 years that I spent there, Damaris can tell you how many interns have already passed, have been recruited at UNEP. How many of them have landed well in getting good job today? So, when you go through an experience, it's easy for you. The passion also comes from there. And one thing that I want to really to advise you, do not take anything for granted. Success comes through, sufferings. Don't be discouraged. Whatever, if you are passionate, you will succeed one day. So I just want to share that with you and say, no, you have the creativity that is needed, just move on. And we are here, whatever we can do to support, we will support. And we will not really lie to you. Whatever we cannot do, I'll tell you, no, this is not possible. Thank you. Sorry, Damaris, for cutting you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Biao. It's very interesting what you've just said, because I think many of us lose hope in the first 3 years, but I know many of us here who can actually explain the journey. And I think also that should be part of the experience, because when it comes to science, many of us go through a lot before we get the actual thing. And I think as part of what you were saying in terms of a publication or something, some of the best practices is what has been your journey to where you are right now, because many people don't know the journey of Dr. Biao. I have not had that story before, Dr. Biao, yet you're my boss. I sit with you every day. So the thing is, we sometimes want to see the journey, and just so that we can understand that Dr. Biao is not the regional director because she got it on a silver platter. She had to struggle from when she was a young person. So again, to remove the sense of entitlement. Now, you wouldn't believe it. And again, I'm so sorry, because this person was on a boat. They were doing something on another part of the island, and they were trying to cross into the mainland just so that he could get onto this call. And he really wants to say something. His name is Olumide. Just allow him to say something. Olumide, I'm so sorry about you being caught up in the boat.
Hello. Can you hear me?
You only have 2 minutes, please, because we are finishing.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. From Nigeria.
Yeah, so sorry for getting on the call so late. I was actually on an island doing a research on the oil and gas and oil spillage that is killing and that is harmful to Nigerian citizens. So that's why I was unable to. I actually joined from the beginning, but when we got on the boat, I have to just off my phone because it's an island. So from what I've heard today, I think for me, I would just say that the key word I've gotten from us is collaboration, making sure that we work together and we see how we can implement more strategy for our entity and for our country. And one of the key things I will also mention here is that I want to appreciate all African youths for what they are doing, because one of the things that is getting us going is that we don't wait for the government again. We try to make our impact, and the government will see our compliments, and government will also see that we are contributing to their effort to make each country a better place. So what I'm doing in my country is to make sure that I focus on health, education, and environment, and I'm using social media platforms to drive conversation. And recently, I'm now going into research, documentary, and how we can meet the need of people, getting the solution from them, and introduce those solutions and the problem they are facing to the government for them to have more understanding of what the local community actually needs. So let's keep doing what we are doing. And thanks to UNEP for bringing this forward, because it's one of the things that young people would like to see every time, and helping us to bridge that gap between the young people and our government so that they can see the need for them to make every action that we're making as an investment opportunity for all. And because with that investment opportunity, without everything we do, we also need to look at how we can tap into making money and making ourselves a good living, and to also is also very key for the livelihood as well. So thank you very much, Damaris, for making me to be on this call. I'm so sorry, I'm still on my way where I can take bus back to the city of Port Harcourt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olomide. We thought you were eating amala somewhere.
No. Thank you, guys.
So thank you very much. That's Olumide. For those of you who follow him on social media, he's called Mr. Climate, and he has been so instrumental in the climate change discourse for a very long time. He's also part of our major groups in UNEP. So thank you so much, everyone. Really, I think this was an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much, Dr. Biao. 2.5 hours of your time, really, we really appreciate. I'm also youthful, so having an opportunity to engage like this is amazing.
In 3 months' time, you will have your UNV.
Thank you so much. It helps me because the workload sometimes is interesting, but then also having great ideas coming from more youthful people will be amazing for this particular continent. Thank you, everyone from all over the continent: North Africa, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Central Africa, and Western Africa. Thank you so much. Have a very good evening. This is not the last time you're hearing from us. We shall be in touch. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.